Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast for a thriving business and life. We are live on Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we are continuing with Soul-Led Success series. And today we're going to explore your capacity to receive, or what keeps you from receiving and what you can do about it. So many heart-centered and helping professionals and people have deeply rooted patterns around worthiness, receiving, overgiving, and believing that you have to work harder to deserve more. In this episode, we're going to have you discover why receiving can feel uncomfortable or difficult, even when you truly, deeply desire more, and the hidden patterns that may be blocking you from allowing yourself support, money, opportunities, love, and success in your life, and how to begin expanding your capacity to receive and receive more with greater ease, flow, alignment, and self-worth. And this, we're going to be talking about, it's not about working harder, it's about allowing yourself to receive more. So let me ask you, do you ever feel like you're constantly giving, helping, supporting others, working hard, but still struggling to fully receive what you truly desire? Or maybe you're giving so much to everyone else that you barely have space to receive support yourself, or that you don't allow it in. Today, we're going to be talking about what quietly affects you, especially because you are heart-centered women and helping professionals. So let's talk about why you may have struggle receiving. What happened is, when you were growing up, you were conditioned. You were conditioned, oh, you have to work hard to deserve, or it's selfish to receive too much, or I should take care of everyone else first. See if any of those resonate with you. And you may have these common patterns. See if you see yourself in these patterns. Are you overgiver? Are you an overgiver? Or you're overly responsible for yourself and for others? Or do you feel like maybe you're feeling burnt out because you're so much giving out the energy and not allowing yourself to receive the energy back? Or do you have difficulty asking for help? And that happens very often when you are a giver. You're a giver, and so energetically, it's easy for you to give, but much harder for you to allow yourself to receive and even ask for support. See if any of that resonates with you. And do you feel uncomfortable receiving compliments, money, support, love? And what happens when you go and when you're in that struggle to receive, you may end up feeling depleted or exhausted, or you feel unseen or unsupported. And so you've learned how to give. And now it's about learning how to receive. And I'm going to tell you, learning to receive is such an important, essential self-care act for you. It is essential. And Anastasia has said, oh, so true. So, and Mickey says, you're too busy doing for others, no time for myself. So, yes, you are overgivers and over giving to others, always wanting to give out. And now I hope that all of you, that you can learn how to receive. And we're going to that's what we're talking about in today's show. And let's talk about the hidden link between worthiness and receiving. So your capacity to receive is connected with your self-worth. If you don't believe that you are worthy of receiving, and this is about receiving all different things, receiving love, receiving support, receiving money, receiving help in any way at all. If you don't feel worthy of it, you won't ask and you won't allow. You won't allow yourself to take it in. Now, what happens with that is many of us, and you may be one of them, have learned that it wasn't safe to receive. So what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. If you grew up in a family where, let's say, your mother would give you something, but there were always strings attached. There were always conditions. Or it could be your father, or it could be a sibling, or it could be any caretaker. And if you learned that in order to receive or in order to get things, that there were always strings attached, or there was manipulation and control around receiving, then you would learn that it wasn't safe. Or some of you may have grown up in families where there was the carrot. There's always the carrot. If you do this, you'll get that. But then there's the carrot, and it's always like, well, then you have to do this, and then you have to do that, and then you have to do that. And it's always like working hard to receiving, and you may or may not ever get it. Again, what that teaches your nervous system is that it's not safe to receive. And then you may have beliefs about deserving. Do you really deserve? Do you really deserve yourself to receive help, support, love? Do you deserve to receive abundance and money and wealth? All of those, and there may be stair steps. Like you may allow yourself a little bit, but maybe you won't allow yourself more. Or maybe you'll allow yourself some abundance, let it trickle in, but you won't allow yourself a lot of abundance. And then I know there's a lot of you out there that may be like, you want wealth. Some of you, I mean, I remember when there was a time where the thought of wealth freaked me out. I couldn't even imagine it. And that was because I was scared of it. And so it's all about learning, and it's learning how to receive more. So it's allowing and learning and allowing yourself to take in more, receive more. And it's learning how to make receiving safer and safer and safer. Learning how to receive from people, from situations, from opportunities that feel safe to you, so that you receive and feel supported. And Anastasia says, yes, money wealth would be appreciated. All right. Yay. And Misty says, do you feel overgiving brings on burnout faster? And the answer to that question is yes. If you have given and you give and you give and you give, and you're not filling yourself up and doing this essential self-care, you will burn out. Burnout becomes definitely easier for overgivers. And so that's why it's going to be learning the balance between the giving and the receiving, and the giving and the receiving. And it's learning the balance. It's learning self-care. But we're going to be talking more about that as well. So, and what I want you all to know is you can only receive at the level you feel safe enough and worthy of receiving. So let's talk about, and Misty, here's the segment for you: overgiving, burnout, and the fear of receiving. So, helping professionals, and I'm gonna put moms in here, all right? Because so often moms are given, depending on how old, especially when your children are really young, it can be harder. But moms are givers. And well, a lot of moms, I'm not going to say all moms, but moms give a lot. And a lot of times they're not allowing themselves to receive enough, except on Mother's Day. And moms are giving all year long, and there's only one day. So what I really want you moms all to know, moms, helping professionals, holistic healing practitioners, you're all givers. And when you're a giver, it's so easy to give all that energy out. And you feel good. I mean, here's the thing. Usually an overgiver, there's two things going on. It's you've learned to overgive, but it also very often can feel really good to be a giver. And to feel needed, to feel worthy and deserving because you're giving. And when you're doing healing work and you see people healing or helping professionals, when you see the transformation that happens when you are giving, it's like, ooh, I love that. And so what ends up happening is you could tie your value to helping others. And so you will often end up giving and giving. But again, there is that balance, and it needs to be balanced. Now, are you a person, whether it's personally or professionally, you feel guilty receiving? So when you were growing up, you may have been told, oh, you don't deserve that, or you can't have that, or no, 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 no. Like if you asked and you were shut down. And so you can end up feeling guilty about receiving. And that's another way that that ends up affecting you. And so it's going to be really important for you to know that you deserve. This is about feeling worthy and deserving and knowing, feeling and believing you deserve to receive. And it's okay. You can let go of the guilt. And then you may be someone who feels responsible for everyone. Now, if you have felt responsible for everyone, what I want you to know is you're not. Now, of course, if you're a mom, you are responsible for your kids, but especially until they turn 18. But even after 18, sometimes moms and dads, they end up feeling like, okay, they got to help their kids for the rest of their lives. And there's some, you need to look at how much responsibility you really need to take for your adult children. And that's something, that's a whole nother conversation, but something for you to look at. But obviously, if they're under 18, then you are responsible for them. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you grew up, and if you grew up in a family where you were a caretaker, and usually overgivers are somehow, usually they grew up in a role where you ended up taking care of the family in some way. Maybe you took care of your mom. Maybe you took care of your dad. Maybe you took care of siblings. You were the oldest. Or maybe you felt like you had to take care of everybody's emotions. Or maybe you actually, I mean, I've had clients where they grew up in alcoholic families and they needed to really take care of themselves, and they had younger siblings. So you learned being responsible probably at a very young age. And now what I want you to know, as an adult, you are not responsible for everyone and everything. And it's learning new pathways in your nervous system. It's learning to train yourself. Oh, I'm not responsible for that person's feelings. A lot of times you may grow up and you may think, I have to walk on eggshells. I can't make that person angry, or I don't want to make that person upset, or I need to protect them. And what I want you to know, if you're communicating in a healthy, and I'm not meaning attacking, but I'm always all about healthy, clear communication. If you're sharing your truth in a healthy, caring, communicative way, you don't need to take responsibility for other people's feelings. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to take care of your own. And so what ends up happening is you may end up feeling burnt out. Or in business, you may undercharge because you want to take care of everybody. Or you have difficulty receiving the support or abundance. And what I really want to support you in remembering is receiving is not selfish. Receiving actually creates balance. There's that balance. Remember, I'm talking about the balance between the giving and the receiving. And in the cycle, and there's a cycle and energy, and we need that receiving, giving cycle. And that's receiving, giving, giving, receiving. You want to create the balance. It needs to be both for balance. And receiving allows you to have greater impact and greater support. And you can allow yourself, what I really believe and what I remember hearing, like with my guides and my angels, is that the more we allow ourselves to receive, the more we get that we're deserving and we're worthy, what ends up happening is that you can give more from that place of being filled up. That's what you want, is feeling yourself giving from a place of the cup runneth over. That's what this is about. And the more nourished and supported you feel and that you are, the more powerfully you can serve. So I want to remind you all of that. And so let's talk a little bit about the emotional blocks, the emotional and energetic blocks about receiving. So, receiving isn't just a logical process. It's actually very, very emotional and energetically charged. And like I said, and been talking about, blocks can come from your childhood conditioning, like I've mentioned before, and your past experiences growing up. And also it comes very often from trauma. And what ends up happening is that you have these limiting beliefs and emotions that shut down your ability to receive. And you start feeling like you actually may contract. And what it's learning is to allow yourself to expand. You may have fears of visibility, or you fear disappointment, or you fear success. And what happens is again, the nervous system, your mind, your energy may associate receiving with danger or pressure, like what I was talking about before. If, like I said, if you grew up in a family where it was conditional that you receive or you asked and then were shut down, or your parents used control and manipulation to give you things, or there were always strings attached, which is control and manipulation actually, it can feel dangerous. Or then there may be pressure, like you feel like you owe. If you receive, you feel like you owe someone something. And what I want you to know, it's learning how to receive in an unconditional way. It's learning how to receive and allow yourself to receive from a place of allowing that you don't have to give back. Now, that doesn't mean you may not want to, but again, this is coming from a place of really getting that there is this balance and allowing yourself to receive unconditionally, and then allowing yourself to feel, if you can allow yourself to receive without strings attached, without anything else, just allowing. Or then you may want, because what happens is once you allow yourself to receive, you may start feeling filled up. You may, like that cup runneth over, and then you may start feeling like, ooh, I want to give, I want to share. And that's what happens when you allow yourself to receive. And so what ends up happening, because if your nervous system has associated receiving with danger and pressure, you will unconsciously block opportunities, money, love, or support. And what happens is when you're blocking, hi there, I'm back. I don't know what happened here. Momentary glitch. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the subconscious. So your subconscious mind, your conscious mind is with me here now. Thank you, conscious mind of yours. Your subconscious is the part of you from the moment you were conceived to present time that has recorded every moment you've been alive. And part of that is all the things that I've been talking about before, the childhood conditioning, past experiences, trauma, the fears, all of that, it lives in your subconscious mind. And so what happens is if you are subconsciously or unconsciously, same thing, blocking the opportunities, the money, the love, or the support, you need to clear it. Because until you clear it, it will continue to create the patterns again and again and again. Now, the first thing is becoming aware of the pattern. And then the next thing, so when I'm working with clients, what we do is we may use hypnosis to clear the pattern and go back to the moment the pattern began. Or I do NLP, neuro linguistics programming. And again, working with you or with my clients and being able to take those patterns and shift them, or doing the energy intuitive clearing work, the nervous system work. So I'll give you an example. Let's take my client. When she first came to me, she was really shut down and she wouldn't allow herself to receive anything. And what happened is, as we started working together and she started allowing herself, and we did a lot of like hypnosis and NLP and all kinds of intuitive energy clearing. And as we started working together, what started happening is she started allowing herself to receive more and more. What was happening was when she was growing up, she learned that receiving wasn't safe because her mother would be demanding, and it was all about her mother and not about her. And so as we worked together, she was able to then really allow herself to open to receive more and more and more, and just expanding in the receiving until she really allowed herself the success that she desired. And that's what can happen when you do that energetic work. And so, and that's just an example of what can happen. Now, let's talk about other examples of where you may be blocking receiving. So perhaps you struggle to ask for help. You feel uncomfortable charging more. You deflect compliments, or you're constantly overworking. You're working, and you never give yourself the downtime. You feel guilty resting. I have so many clients that I've worked with through the years that have difficulty just staying still or resting or giving themselves time off. Or maybe you have difficulty receiving love and support. Or you may unconsciously be pushing opportunities away, or an opportunity may come to you and then you don't act on it, or you don't allow it, or you disregard it, and then that opportunity goes away. So which of these patterns do you recognize in yourself? So what I'd like to share with you is, if you are recognizing any of these patterns where you know that you need to expand into receiving, if you know that you have been shutting down your ability to receive and your ability to allow the success, the wealth, the money, the love, the support, I am going to offer an intuitive breakthrough session. And the way that you can allow yourself to receive it is you go to this link. So for those of you who are watching, Rebel is going to put the link on the screen and in the chat. So those of you who are listening, it's inspired and empoweredliving.com/session. Put it up on the screen again, please. Yes. Inspired and empoweredliving.com/session. And that is actually it's the name of the TV show podcast, Inspired and Empowered Living.com/session. And you can put that into the chat as well. So I want to support you in perhaps allowing yourself to receive help. So let's talk about expanding your capacity to receive. So you want to start with small things, okay? Let's begin with small practical things like compliments, support, rest, help. Start with that. And what I also want to remind you is, if you notice, like, this is the awareness, this is where I'm going to support you in being aware. If you notice, let's say a compliment, somebody compliments you, take a breath and say, thank you. Breathing can be your ally and friend in everything. It will help your nervous system. It helps you on so many levels, and it helps you to receive. And let's say you want to ask for help or support, and it feels really scary because you're not used to that. First of all, you want to make sure that you're going to someone who feels safe, and that you feel, or if you're not sure, again, this is about trusting your intuition. Breathe. And one of the things that I want to remind you is that if you ask for help and support and the other person says no, it's not about you. It's about who they are or where they're at. Maybe they're so overwhelmed they just can't put another thing on their plate. So just know that it's learning to be able to receive the no's too, and know, KNOW, that it is okay, and that you still see, and it's all okay. And breathe. And letting yourself start to rest. Take time out. Giving yourself time to rest and breathe. Yes. And then it's learning to release the belief. This is an important one because you may not even realize that you have it. And you need to look at, do you have it? And I'm going to say it, and I want you to feel into it. Oh, that may be me. Maybe it is. Do you feel that you must earn everything through struggle? If you learn to struggle and receive struggle, you may need to learn that it's safe to receive without struggle. It's safe to receive. What I like to put in an affirmation, it's safe to receive with ease and grace. Ease and grace. So please feel free to take that. It's safe to receive with ease and grace. And this is really learning to create the safety around receiving. And one of the ways you can do it is grounding. Again, I want to remind you, breathing is key in helping you. But also grounding, allowing yourself to breathe in the energy, to feel connected with the earth, to feel your breath, to feel your feet on the floor, allowing yourself to ground, allowing yourself to breathe and breathe in and receive. And know that you are worthy and you are deserving of it. And learning to practice being open. Practice being open instead of contracting. Now, again, you're going to need to become aware when you're contracting or when you're shutting down at the thought of receiving. But breathe, again, that's my favorite word, breathe. And you can even hear it. I want you to hear my voice saying, take a breath, breathe, you got this. Breathe and receive. That's what I love. Breathe and receive. And allow yourself to choose, making positive, conscious choices to receive and be open. And now, what I want to remind you is receiving is an act of openness, trust, and self-worth. So when you receive, and what I'm going to do is next week, what I'd like to do is we're going to do a guided reflection exercise about receiving. I don't want to start it now because we're starting to wind down, but I really want you to be able to allow yourself to tune in and allow yourself, because receiving is such an important piece to be able to be more of who you are and really have soul-led success. Anastasia asked, don't you have to learn receiving first? Okay. Don't you have to learn to receive first? Well, you want to learn how to receive. I don't know where exactly the whole thing is all about learning to receive. It's learning to take it step by step, slowly, allowing yourself to open and practice opening. This is all going to be practice, 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 practice receiving. And like I said, we're going to be talking more about it. So, hopefully that answered your question. To learn if you are receiving first. So, if you are, yes, you want to learn how to receive, but here's the thing. Sometimes you're going to need to do it in increments. Most of us, it's not safe for our nervous system go poof, we can receive and all of it happening. So it's going to be bit by bit, step by step, to allow yourself to receive and to open to receive. So hopefully that answers your question, Anastasia. If it doesn't, then you can let me know. And what I want to support you is if you are looking to be able to open and you need support to receive, then definitely want to support you in getting an intuitive breakthrough session. And again, you can go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com/session, and you can allow yourself to receive support. So it's the name of the show, inspiredandempoweredliving.com/session. And next week, we are going to be talking more about you being really embodying. Like I said, we're going to work on opening you to the receiving. We'll talk a little bit. I have a guided exercise for you that we're going to do this week. So you definitely don't want to miss it. And then we're going to be talking about really starting to embody. What is that soul-led success? Embodying it and allowing yourself to live it in a whole new way. So that's next week in episode 7 of our series. I can't believe it's been 7 sessions already. So join us next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, my YouTube channel. And also you can hear the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And I want to wish you all an inspired and empowered day, evening, and week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.